What is going on, kings and queens of this wonderful wonderland that we call YouTube? Now, today comes a rant video that, to be quite honest, I've been fighting myself to do a lot. And that would be a rant video targeting Pokemon Go, the newest fab, the newest great app, Pokemon Go. And before anybody watching this jumps down my throat, or anybody, let's be honest here, anybody that's currently probably playing it as we speak, jumps down my throat, I'm not going to be ranting about the typical idea of the game causing car accidents or robberies or basically anything that we've heard over and over again since the app came out. I am going to be discussing something that's far deeper than that. And as the title of the video explains, I'm going to be looking at and responding to some religious claims against Pokemon and Pokemon Go. Now the reason why I'm so uncomfortable with this idea is because I kind of have a cardinal rule or a standard that I keep with me to uphold with myself, and that would be not to discuss religion or politics publicly. And that's primarily because, as you know, doing what I do, I'm just a guy that, you know, plays video games and entertains people on the internet. So I feel like my particular you know, views on the subject of politics and religion aren't important to the larger scheme of things. So I keep them to myself. Until today. I normally don't speak up like this unless I feel like there's a need to. And the last time I really did was defending Slender Man in the Slender Man murder case. But now we're looking at defending Pokemon. Before I get too far into this, let me just explain that this video is more or less a response or a rebuttal to another video done by a fellow YouTuber by the name of Peanut Butter Gamer, who brought this kind of thing to my attention in a couple video clips. So this video is going to look at his video in depth. Now, in watching his video, at first I found them to be comical. I really kind of enjoyed the videos. I enjoyed his commentary on the videos, and I was having a great time laughing my butt off at them because they're so ridiculous that that's just about all you can do. And it wasn't until I decided to become curious and look at each individual video in depth and kind of the full videos, if you will, that they started to become not so funny to me. And the reason for that brings me to my second point of me being a Christian myself. While I'm probably not the most devout Christian, I am a Christian nonetheless, and it was kind of offensive to me to be not only a Christian, but a Christian who has grown up with Pokemon. It was offensive to listen to fellow Christians or Christian leaders be so ignorant and judgmental towards something that they don't understand. So that's what kind of sparked this video, and I will leave the description. In the description, I will leave the links to each individual thing that I'm going to be referring to and discussing, so you can check them out yourself. The first two will be things that Peanut Butter Gamer discussed, and the last one is going to be one that I kind of found in my own research and things of that nature. So without further ado, ladies and gents, buckle up, because it's going to be a doozy. The first video was one done, I'm going to guess, in the 90s, you know, when Pokemon was first coming to America, and it was kind of a fab, and the new cool thing for us kids. And this preacher did a sermon based around Pokemon. And in the beginning of the video, you know, I can't help but agree with him, because he said a lot of things that I, you know, had to agree with, knowing Pokemon as well as I do. You know, he started by saying Pokemon, the word or name Pokemon is derived from the Japanese word meaning pocket monster. He's not wrong. And then he goes on to explain kind of the purpose of Pokemon is to collect them, evolve them, and battle them and what have you. He's not wrong there either. Unfortunately, though, that's where the agreement with me stops, because he's saying that he goes on to say that Pokemon are creatures that bond with the human child or what have you, and it allows the child to have the Pokemon's powers and shoot flames or other elemental things from their hands, and just ridiculous claims like that. I don't exactly remember what they were, but they were something along those lines. So yeah, just utter ridiculous things. Fortunately enough, though, this video was more along the lines of humorous to me. I was able to shake my head and laugh. This wasn't the video that really set me off. The one that did, though, was the second video, which is this guy, I don't know if it's a podcast or what it is. It's like a Christian radio show, if you will, or whatever, or a podcast. But he goes on to talk about this morning meeting that him and his crew had about Pokemon Go. And the very first thing he did was refer to Pokemon as cyber demons. Now, before I go any further, let me just make a comment on this and say that I think anybody that can look at something cute and fuzzy like Pikachu or Rattata or whatever your favorite Pokemon is and refer to them as a cyber demon, I have a problem with. I don't even know what a cyber demon is, but I've got issues, and my issues go further and further with the more this guy says. So he basically goes on to say that out of curiosity or whatever, he goes on to download the app and work the app, and anybody that has played Pokemon Go, which is just about anybody and their mother, knows that in the first stage, or the tutorial stage or whatever, you have the starting Pokemon pop up, and it'll show you how to play the game and how the game works, and normal. But he goes on to complain. He's like, yeah, I did download the app, and sure enough, within the first couple minutes, a cyber demon popped up right here in the middle of the office, in the middle of the church. So he's basically complaining about how the app works, number one. How he explained it was how you know the app is working properly. So he's just complaining about the technology, number one. But he was also complaining about how people were coming to the church at night, playing Pokemon Go, and things like that. And my first response, and I talked about this subject with my grandparents, and my grandpa and I kind of shared the same idea. Is that, okay, people are coming to the church playing Pokemon. Why is that such a bad idea? Why is that such a bad thing? Because, it's no secret that churches have kind of gone belly up for one reason or another. Whether people have lost their way with faith and just aren't coming to Jesus, or maybe they just don't get up on Sunday mornings and go to church anymore. Churches are not what they used to be. So why is that such a bad idea? And just out of curiosity, I typed in Pokemon in churches in Google, and I was kind of surprised what came up. It was all kinds of ideas for religious practices involving Pokemon, for youth, like a youth ministry involving Pokemon, or it was a list of how religious places, whether it be churches, mosques, what have you, can take advantage of this new pop culture thing, and take advantage of all the new people coming into the church. Which, not a bad idea. So, yeah, that was kind of my reaction to him actually complaining about random people coming anywhere near the church. And anybody that understands the app will know that churches are Pokestops, and you understand why they're coming anywhere near the church. But then he goes on to say that a theory was presented to him in this little meeting, that Pokemon Go, because it uses GPS or whatever, is a terrorist weapon that can be used by ISIS and terrorists to target Christians. Now, at first I would say it sounds ridiculous, but I do understand the fear here, and I do understand why they're afraid. I get it. The thing is, though, that if you really think about it, if a terrorist really wanted to, if ISIS or a terrorist or anybody that wanted to do Christians bodily harm wanted to hunt down churches, do you think with all the technology that's out there, they would use a child's game to do it? I don't. Because let's be honest here, the technology that the game uses, GPS, things of that nature that's in the game, is revolutionary in the sense that it's never been used in a video game the way it's being used in Pokemon Go. And I think that's what scares a lot of these pastors, is the word revolutionary. The thing about it is that if you pay attention, the technology that's used in Pokemon Go has been used by the government for handfuls of years now. It's not new technology. And really, there's a lot easier ways for a terrorist to get a hold of church information than hacking into Pokemon Go and using that GPS. There's Google Maps. You can find churches on there. You know, there's such things called phone books where you can look up, you know, if they're anywhere in the U.S., they can look up local churches in phone books. So it's like, yes, I do understand the fear and the unknown here. But if you're really smart and you really understand how technology works and how our government works, you'll know that this technology in Pokemon Go is not new. And the whole idea of ISIS going as far to use these cute little cyber demons as a lethal weapon to target Christians is a little bit ludicrous to me. This was the one that really set me off. And of course, me expressing this aggravation towards this guy is kind of dulled down by, you know, the emotion and some of the things that this guy said. Because I consider myself a very logical and realistic person, and this guy was just so far off the mark to me, that it was just really upsetting, and I'm breaking a sweat even talking about it, because I'm just recalling the overall emotion and the feelings that I had wanting to punch this guy in the face for seeming so stupid and ignorant. So again, we have a pastor in the first video that says kids through Pokemon are able to channel their powers and shoot elemental forces through their hands. We have a pastor that basically says that ISIS and other terrorist organizations are using cyber demons and the technology in Pokemon Go to target churches and cause Christians bodily harm. The third video was one that I found on my own, and it was particularly interesting because I got to learn kind of the backstory of Pokemon, which I never knew before. Now, I don't know if this gentleman in the video was actually a pastor or just a concerned parent who happened to be Christian. But he was talking about a video that he found on the internet of people flocking in a park. I'm just gonna throw Central Park out there. I don't actually know, but there was, you know, hundreds of people playing Pokemon Go because there was supposedly a legendary Pokemon spawned in that area. Now, anybody that knows anything about Pokemon will understand why there was hundreds, if not thousands, of people looking for this Pokemon. A legendary Pokemon is a very, very big deal. But he, however, said that these hundreds, if not thousands of people in this one little area looking for this Pokemon were not looking for just a Pokemon, as harmless as that sounds. They were performing a satanic ritual. That's not even the worst part. So out of his own curiosity, he looked up an article of an interview done by the creator of Pokemon. And the main question or topic is Pokemon satanic or anti-Christian? The creator of Pokemon was very, very honest in this interview, and he said, I could see how it could be satanic or anti-Christian or demonic or whatever, because it doesn't follow Christian beliefs. He's honest. Nothing wrong with that. He goes on to explain that the reason Pokemon was created was because he had very, very religious parents. He was in a very, very devout Christian home, and as he got older, he didn't necessarily agree with the whole concept of Christianity or the whole concept of religion, as a lot of teenage rebellious people do. Heavy metal music is just riddled with that. There is a lot of Christians that say heavy metal music is satanic or demonic or whatever, but 9 times out of 10, a heavy metal band such as Metallica, for instance, is from a very strict religious home, and that's their way of venting. Pokemon was this gentleman's, and he said, I could see how Pokemon is demonic, satanic, anti-Christian, because it does not follow Christian beliefs or teachings. It uses the theory of evolution, evolving Pokemon. It uses magical powers, like telekinesis and things of that nature. It uses the whole idea of the elements, which isn't a Christian teaching. So it uses a lot of non-Christian things. Now, if you're looking at it skin deep, I can understand how religious people would see this as a very threatening message. That yes, it does not follow Christian beliefs. It's, he's basically admitting that it's demonic or satanic or whatever. So if you're looking at it skin deep, I can see it. Thing is that I don't look at things skin deep, especially if I care about it. So I dove into it, started thinking logically, started looking at it all from different angles. And what I'm about to say, if I haven't crossed the blasphemous line to Christians watching this, I think I'm about to, is that I looked up the definition of anti-Christian, and literally all the definition says is that it's anything that is opposed to Christian beliefs or teachings, or something along those lines. It's a very short, very simple definition. Now, at its core, when you think of anti-Christian or something that's opposed to that, or something that's opposed to Christian beliefs, you're going to think of something demonic or satanic or whatever, because that's the polar opposite. There's dark, there's night, there's Christian, there's anti-Christian, right? The thing about that is is that I don't believe that the term anti-Christian directly has anything to do with something evil. And the more I thought about it, the more I came to the conclusion that basically anything having to do with any amount of imagination can be viewed as anti-Christian. I can guarantee you anything, whether it be a cartoon or anything from your childhood, however old you are watching this, can be viewed as anti-Christian. Superheroes from the DC and Marvel universe, anti-Christian because they have unhuman-like powers, almost god-like powers. That's anti-Christian. Things like the Power Rangers could be seen as anti-Christian because of their power suits. Lord of the Rings could be considered that because it's a world that doesn't exist, and there's magics and mages and whatnot. So in all actuality, the term anti-Christian is a very broad and very generic thing that describes anything that does not follow Christian beliefs. So basically you could say, was, I don't know, any TV show that has ever been made, was it, they could ask the same thing that they asked the creator of Pokemon. Was it based on Christian things? Was it based on the whole idea of Christianity? Does it mimic things like Jesus and things taught in the Bible? One thing that does, for example, is Chronicles of Narnia. That is a very, very known Christian thing. I'm not going to tear that one apart. But if that person was to say no, it has nothing to do with Christian teachings or beliefs, it's automatically anti-Christian. What I'm trying to say is that Christians have turned a very generic thing, a very simple explanation, into something that means automatically evil or demonic or what have you. Anti-Christian is a very negative thing, when in actuality, based on the dictionary, it isn't. And if that's not blasphemous enough, probably what I'm about to say is even more so. As a Christian, I feel that I have the right to say this, whether you agree or disagree, to each his own. Being Christian, I have met a lot of Christians, and I'm gonna let this ring as my closing statement. There are great Christians, very loving Christians that will, are angels in disguise. But then there are very not Christianly Christians, if that makes any sense, that will judge everything. There's fanatics in every religion, but I would say, and I would admit, that Christians can be and are some of the most judgmental people that I have ever met on the face of the planet. And they have a really nasty habit of judging things that they don't understand. And if it goes against what they believe in and what they're taught, it's automatically evil. Let's call it for what it is. Besides love and understanding and mercy and all the other principles that the Christian faith teaches, what is the primary focus, the primary rule of the Christian faith? Basically, it comes down to assimilate or perish. Believe in what I do, or you're going to hell. I'm calling it for what it is. So, like I said, basically anything that that rings as not Christian teaching, not Christian belief system, is automatically the spawn of Satan. And in closing, do I believe that Pokemon are cyber demons used by terrorists to target Christians? No. Do I believe that the creator of Pokemon intentionally set out to make something satanic or demonic or evil? No. I think he was very honest in saying that I could see, because it doesn't follow their beliefs or their teachings, and by the very generic idea of the term anti-Christian, I could see how it could be viewed as such. But do I personally think it's harmful or what have you, as someone that's grown up with it? No. So, in closing, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say that, if you're somebody that agrees with these claims of Pokemon being evil, that's on you. It ultimately comes down to you and whatever higher power that you believe in. With that being said, I think I've spoken my mind, emptied my heart, and until next time, ladies and gentlemen, as always, I salute you, and remember, we're all mad here.